Hi, everyone. I'm sitting here in Mendocino. I'm actually out by the water, but it's a little chilly this morning, so I'm sitting in the truck. But I'll show you what I'm looking at. It's really cool. I'm looking at the beach there, you see, or the coast. Anyway, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about today's energy. And we are in the Aquarius new moon transmission. It's also a partial solar eclipse. I saw something about a massive solar flare that's going to take place today too. I've been reading a lot of information about today, and a lot of stuff has been channeled in. Our mystic abilities will be upgraded, and new people will receive their ability activations today. So if you start noticing things, more synchronicities starting to align all of a sudden, that's a sign to start listening versus reacting, because that means that you're in the flow. You've been activated. You're starting to see the codes of your own consciousness. And as that raises, as you are activated more and more and more, those codes that you see transition. And so through the process of this activation, we have to realize that, yeah, it's all fun and magical, but it still is the purging of the soul. We are still erasing, reprogramming the old ways that we've been thinking, that we've been taught, that we've seen, because this is the ascension. This is part of the upgrading process. So that can also take us to a different place with the psyche. So it's important to remember that during these energy surges, it can make us, really, and so that's why we have to be in tune, getting in tune, practicing, learning the flow of getting in tune with the frequency being raised. It's literally upgrading us on a molecular level. So your intelligence is going to heighten, things are going to change, and so that's why we become these magical psychic beings, because that's who we really are. We're just not being affected by the low-bearing frequency that's set out amongst humans, and so it's just about mentally raising your own vibration to match the one that is higher of what is in this plane, or what was in this plane. Now we're being upgraded. And so anyway, today, for the most part of the day, we're going to be enjoying this really last strong surge of this Aquarius upgrading, and then we're going to move into Pisces in the afternoon. And what's going to happen is that there's something called next void and cycle, a void of cycle. And I've talked to you guys before, and I've seen you guys also talk about how when I'll call them like we get dropped off, like it drops, the frequency drops, and we can feel kind of quiet, frustrated, sad, but not sad. Well, it's because I learned recently that it's because the moon, once it goes into a certain position, the satellite, which is the moon that transmits the signal from each sign, which is the gateway in the sky, when it starts to move out of that sign, there is a moment of avoidance. There is a drop in frequency. So that's why when we're mindful and pay attention to when the next void of cycle is, we can be ahead of the reaction to set everything in motion. It's predicting energy, and that's the magic. And so I just recently learned this 2 days ago. So the next void of change I don't even remember what's the next void of change or whatever it's called is going to be on the West Coast Pacific time from 1:06 until 6:42 this afternoon, and then it's going to change into Pisces. So what I read about this void of frequency is that most on a large plane of studying over, however long we've been here, things that take place that are initiated on a new level during that void of transmission generally does not grow to fruition. And it talked about not, initiating new business deals, not initiating even new all kinds of things. That's a chill time. They even said in one of the things that I read that resonated with me is that during the void in frequency, that is the time of meditation, of being quiet, of mindlessness, not projecting anything, not receiving anything, just being mindless, because it's a different frequency. The frequency is dropped. So if you think about it, when we're stationed in the moon, when we're stationed in a sign and it's, full transmission of the moon, and as it's moving, it's obviously not going to keep that same signal at the same strength the whole time. There's peaks, there's highs and lows. So when it hits that void in transmission, is what I'm calling it, it's absolutely understandable why there's a drop in the psyche of humanity, because our brains are not being stimulated. Our neurotransmitters in the brain, our DNA, whatever you want to call it, our molecular cells are not being as stimulated by that transmission. So that's why we feel on these such highs and everybody's like, woo, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, what the? Well, that's because we've lost the transmission. It's a void in transmission. So that just like blew my mind away whenever, Christopher, thank you so much for, answering a post with that a couple days ago and giving me that link, because that was a huge download for me to align with that. I'm starting to see that I'm aligning more with being able to predict with astrology, which is way cool. And, I don't really go chasing after it. If I wanted to, I would probably know every detail to everything at this point, because the way that my brain processes and researches. But then my research engine, got cut off probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, I taught myself how to root phones, how to hack. I taught myself how to do all kinds of stuff with computers. And it was just like, one day it was over. And now I know it's because we're just supposed to trust and listen if we don't feel the pull to do all the research, because it's not your time to do that. And so I think that that's where us as humans, we can get into trouble with comparing ourselves to other people, because we are not all the same. I know in my journey of spirituality, and the one that, it doesn't end, we're always still on it. I have compared myself to other people, and I have felt, bouts of envy and all kinds of things, because we all want to get to that point, right? Well, it doesn't work that way either. Like I always say, the outside world is a tool to guide the soul within each individual, because this is a collective, but we are all very, very individual. And so I let these things just come to me through the synchronicities that I see and feel. That's how you are the mindful mystic. You learn to become who you are, which is a mystical inner person. When you stop and pause and get outside of the humanistic outside world, that things that just don't really matter, you stop that process and you halt the subconscious mind to start rewiring itself so that you can create the frequency you want. I mean, we as humans, as a society across the globe, are in this position of blaming everyone else for everything rather than taking responsibility. We want to blame someone else, something, rather than just looking at humanity as a whole and going, everyone else is feeding into this. People are doing this. People are believing this. No one's asking. No one's talking. And so it's no wonder that people are running around knocking heads against each other. So the biggest thing I can say is I see a lot of us have issues with dealing with other humans. That's why a lot of us don't get along. The main thing is to have your own serenity within your own vessel, your own being, your own energetic aura, is to not take things so personally. Like the things you see on Facebook, the things that people say to you, who cares? If it triggers you, don't attack that person. Look at yourself. That's the way I've learned to take a step back from absorbing the energy of every person I encounter, because I'm a channeler. I know that now. I embrace myself. I know who I am, and I set up energetic boundaries, and I have no problem saying no thank you. But that doesn't mean I have to engulf myself in their lower vibration or whatever vibration it is. We don't even have to say lower. It's a different vibration. It just helps us to step back. I laugh at everything. Now I'm just okay, you go do you. We don't have to take things so personally. That's the thing that makes me crazy sometimes, I mean, really. It's just about letting it go. Like, what's everybody so angry at? What's everybody spewing hate for? Why is everybody talking about racism and, religions and all that? Like, so what? Like, let's just stop it and just look at each other and be like, all right, what are you into? I'm not into that. Next. Like, it doesn't have to be anything personal. There's so many races and demographics and economics and so many things, but we're all the same people. It's just some of us have been activated before others to see through the veil. So that's all it really is. So it's just about recognizing that we all see the same. We all feel the same. We all think the same. We all just do it differently. But we all understand the same emotion. So if you're hurting and I'm hurting, he's hurting and she's hurting, then why don't we stop it? It's really easy. It's just a process. It's not going to happen overnight. The ascension is already taking place. It's been going on for several years now, but the gas pedal's been pressed and we're accelerating in what's happening, and people are joining forces and a new grid is being written, and it's really wonderful. And a lot of changes are happening with us right now. A lot of people, I see you, family, across the board, in every avenue, just flourishing on so many levels. And then I see some people are backtracking. People that were on a spiritual light have now turned in a different direction, and it's amazing to see. And this is part of the cycle of this process, and we can't hang on to what anyone else is doing just to use it as a tool for ourselves to join with the people that are like-minded, that do feel the same, that do want the same things. And, a lot of us are going to be pulled to go in different directions now. Megan just tagged me in an article talking about this, or someone's post about this very thing. Source has called me to travel again. I'm leaving California in a few days and I'm headed to the East Coast. I'm going to be in the Northeast. If any of you guys are there, I'd love to see you while I'm there. Also, I'm going to be traveling across the United States and going to some different states, and I'd love to catch up with you along the way. It's just about trusting and letting go and following the course. If the outside world doesn't feel good to you, get quiet and listen and figure out what you want to do instead of getting pissed off at it. Be the change you want to see in the world. Don't keep spewing the same hate that other people are spewing because they don't know what they're doing either. We're all in the same thing together. Some of us have way different social subconscious mind programming that stems from everything from genetics to the food you eat, the water you drink, where you live, how you were raised, everything you've seen, smelt, tasted, touched, felt, all of that is an influence. So when you know those things, why take what someone else does personally? Like for me, I just look at frequency. I read energy. I'm learning not to be reactive, and it's working very well because I'm not taking things personally. Even when I do, I try. I'm working not to react. And it feels better to me. It's so much easier just to be like, pfft, and then return to this. Life is not painful. Life is free. Even though we are in a bubble, we're really not in control. And we have to surrender that ego. Like, we're in control to a certain degree, but we're not. So this is our existence. So make the best of it while you're here. That's my mantra every day. It's like, yes, I know that there's all this stuff happening out in the real world, which is not the real world. And I can't focus on what is happening. Yes, I know it exists. Yes, I know there's bad things happening. Yes, I know. But everything is part of the cycle of evolution. And if we continue to watch and feed into the news and what everyone else is just spewing out of their mouths without factual information, we can use our own internal wisdom of guidance to be able to detect what is authentic or not. If you were questioning, what someone else is saying, but it felt good to you at first, That's just your human doubting. That's just your subconscious mind programming that has not been rewired yet, hasn't been reprogrammed. Like, that's why we as humans we ignore our intuition, which is not our intuition. It's channeled knowledge from our guides. But humans aren't taught that as children, so we don't listen to it. We listen to what the outside world tells us, and we battle the truth in here. So we're actually at war with our own minds, and we don't even know it. So when we realize that this is all that matters, we can then gauge and shift and unify to assist the control of frequency on the planet, not to control it. Humans don't control anything. We're here to work together, and that's what's so great. So anyway, keep it light and lovely this morning and this evening, take it easy. Check out the next void of cycle for your time zone where you are. And for me, I'm going to make that time frame now be my main part of the day, because I don't have to plan all this yummy energy. It does it for me. It's during those quiet void of transmission times that, it's really more important to pay attention to the flow, because our thoughts create the reality. We draw in what we think. That is the part of, the assisted control that we have. So if you think in a lower vibration and you're living what you feel like is a lower vibration, all you have to do is start listening and raise this in here. And you will see how quickly the magic will begin. I'm telling you, I have seen it more times than I can even form a thought over the last 2 years. That's why I just keep trusting and keep moving. And here we are. It's cool. It's fun. Don't know what's next, but I just know it's good and it's present at the moment, because I have me. I have energy. I have my channel, and then that assists me to align with all of you. I love you to the moon, family. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of it.